everyone, my name is Olga Roussos, and today I'll be presenting my research proposal, AI's Carbon Shadow, an exploration of the energy dilemma and Earth's future. So what I want you all to understand is that as artificial intelligence continues to be developed, more processing power and energy usage are required. Now, AI's growing energy consumption is a significant issue for two main reasons. Firstly, from an environmental perspective, in terms of climate change, biodiversity, and sustainability, but also from a social impact perspective, as it relates to marginalized communities and developing countries. Now, this isn't me trying to dissuade you from using artificial intelligence, because as many have experienced, AI can help to foster increased productivity and convenience, and help us to accomplish things never thought possible. However, we must put measures in place to limit AI's energy consumption if we want to have an inhabitable planet for the future. So first, why is AI development important or relevant? Well, it's becoming widespread and expanding rapidly. Just by a show of hands, who here has used some form of artificial intelligence? Exactly, it proves my point. Secondly, society is becoming increasingly dependent on artificial intelligence. From students to faculty to businesses and even vehicles, AI is the new hot technology. Thirdly, artificial intelligence requires a ton of energy, which you will come to see in the following slides. And fourthly, AI has the potential to cause extensive damage to the environment. The key is if not properly managed. So now we'll move into my research proposal questions. My first question is, how will AI's current and projected energy consumption contribute to global energy demand and carbon emissions? Next, what are the environmental impacts of AI on developing countries versus already developed countries? And thirdly, what sustainable practices can be implemented in the development of AI to reduce energy usage while still allowing for advancement? So now we look at the carbon impact of training large learning models. So the carbon footprint of training a single large learning model, which is a type of artificial intelligence program, is estimated to contribute a whopping 300,000 kilograms of carbon emissions to the Earth's atmosphere. Now notice, this is just training. This isn't using large learning models, and this isn't even other aspects of development. If this is difficult to visualize, compare it to the carbon emissions of 125 round-trip flights from New York to Beijing, China. That's what's entering our atmosphere every time one large learning model is trained. Next, we'll look at AI's computational growth. The computations required for deep learning research have been doubling every few months, resulting in an estimated 300,000 times increase in computations from 2012 to 2018. Now, this research was published in 2020, so imagine what the computations required for deep learning research look like today in 2024. These computations have been shown to have a surprisingly large carbon footprint. Thirdly, we'll look at the energy usage and emissions from GPT-3. So after calculating the energy usage and carbon footprints of several LLMs, like GPT-3, it was determined that training GPT-3 required 552 metric tons of a CO2 equivalent and consumed 1,287 megawatt hours of electricity. Again, this is just training, this isn't using these large learning models, and it isn't even other aspects of development. If this is difficult to visualize, imagine if 123 gasoline-powered passenger vehicles were driven for one whole year. So now that we've talked about the carbon emissions that come from these LLMs and AI development, let's talk about the potential environmental impact. The first environmental impact that we can expect is strained water resources. This can lead to less potable water available, decreased sanitation, and food scarcity. Now, initially, it might be a little bit difficult to connect AI development with water loss, but according to the Yale School of the Environment, a single AI query session with GPT-3 is estimated to consume around 1,500 gallons of water for cooling servers and equipment. Next, we're looking at intensified habitat loss. So this surge in carbon emissions from AI development can cause increased ocean acidification and land degradation. and this leads to the destruction of marine and land ecosystems. Thirdly, we're looking at decreased quality of life for all. So assuming AI's development continues at this rate and produces this amount of carbon emissions, we can expect worsened air quality, more frequent natural disasters, lower quality crop yields, higher overall temperatures, and increased disease, none of which sound fun. So now we'll move into our proposed methodology. This will help us to explore the environmental impacts of AI on developing countries versus already developed countries. So the first step is to gather secondary data from the Artificial Intelligence Index report, which was published by Stanford University in 2023. The purpose of this is just to get some background information on how different countries use artificial intelligence and are working to develop it. Next, we'll run a simple linear regression on the data. So I'll be looking at factors such as talent, infrastructure, research, development, and operational efficiency, and determining which of these factors are most pronounced throughout different countries. Thirdly, I'll split the data from these countries into 4 subsets based on the UN Development Index. These 4 subsets include developed countries, developing countries, least developed countries, and landlocked developing countries. Now, while I haven't conducted this research yet, my hypothesis is that the return on investment for artificial intelligence is generally going to be higher in developed and rapidly developing countries. So now we'll move into our anticipated results. The first thing we can expect is exacerbation of inequalities between richer and poorer countries. This is because the positive impacts of artificial intelligence development will be more prevalent in developed countries, such as the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and China. And this is going to widen the gap between developed and developed countries. Secondly, we can expect land degradation within developing regions due to the extraction of critical minerals. So in order to develop large learning models, many critical minerals are required, such as lithium and cobalt, and these critical minerals are often found in developing countries such as Congo. Thirdly, we can expect direct negative environmental impacts to developed nations based on frequent usage of AI and more rapid AI development. So developed countries will also experience significant environmental impacts because they are developing AI directly, meaning that carbon emissions are directly affecting their atmosphere. So what's the bottom line? Artificial intelligence development will have advantages and disadvantages for both developed and developing countries. However, if AI's development continues to go unmanaged, it's likely to have a greater adverse impact on developing nations. So what can we do to reduce the energy usage while still allowing for advancement in artificial intelligence? The first thing we can do is utilize more efficient hardware to limit AI's energy consumption, especially in processes such as training, which we discussed consume a lot of energy. Secondly, we can optimize AI software like large learning models by using techniques such as model pruning and scarcity. This means just removing any unnecessary parameters that aren't really adding to the effectiveness of the AI, but are instead wasting unnecessary energy. Thirdly, and this is one of my favorites, using artificial intelligence to improve the energy efficiency of AI systems. So this would involve incorporating artificial intelligence into systems to monitor their energy consumption and limit any unnecessary processes. A great example of this happening currently is in the case of Google DeepMind, which has worked on reducing data center cooling energy. So now we'll talk about future research directions. When I do this research for my final graduation project, I would like to examine the environmental and social impacts of mining raw materials used in the development of AI, which we talked about in the case of large learning models. AI's impact on human rights issues such as child labor, the impact of e-waste from artificial intelligence development on the environment, because as this technology continues to develop, the old machinery and technologies are discarded into landfills, and then what happens to them? They just pollute the environment. And lastly, how energy usage from AI development influences the frequency of natural disasters. And this research direction came about because I'm from the Bahamas, which has a subtropical climate, and we face a lot of natural disasters, specifically hurricanes. And so now I'd just like to acknowledge my faculty sponsor, Dr. Ellen Ramsey, who has been a great source of support and encouragement throughout this process, and the project inspiration, Professor Joe Ingles, who encouraged me to use AI. Thank you.